everyone, and welcome to another episode of my Woman Who Inspires series. My name is Sreshtha. I am the director of the Self-Worth Leadership and Empowerment Consultancy. I am also a motivational speaker and a wholeness guide. And in this series, my intent is to show women that those negative emotions that we have are really pushing us to something better. It can be pushing you towards your bigger purpose, or even just pushing you to a better place in life where you are much happier than you were before. In this series, we interview a diverse group of women. And today I have with me Tiffanya Richardson. Tiffanya is a growth and accountability coach owning her business, Lit Productions. She has a BA in social work. Welcome to this series, Tiffanya. How are you today?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I'm honored that you have chosen to share with us your story. I met Tiffanya actually on Clubhouse when I was pitching the series, and she was kind enough to volunteer to tell her story, an amazing story. So now, Tiffanya, I would invite you to share your emotional healing journey.
Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate you for even doing this and having this platform. So my name is Tiffanya, and the story I'm going to share with you guys is a story of loss and heartbreak and how faith allowed me to recover from that and be restored. So I was always the type of woman, a young woman growing up. I never knew what I wanted to be. Like, I don't know if you guys have that similar story, but if you are out there and you resonate, this is for you. I never knew what I wanted to be. I knew I wanted to go away to school, but I never really had a purpose. And so because of that, I kind of straggled along and found myself in different places. And at around 17, I fell in love. I had a high school sweetheart. I'm sure many women can resonate with that. So I built my life with my partner, and we had our own place and we were getting our lives together. And unfortunately, one night he was going to a friend's house, and he was murdered. He was shot, gunned down due to gun violence. And when he passed away, I literally felt like I lost everything because I built my entire life on this relationship. Everything. My home, my stability, my identity was all in this relationship. So losing that was really difficult. It felt literally like a train ran over me. And I remember one night I had to go back to my parents' house and I was laying on the floor, and I remember I asked God, how am I going to recover from this? Like, this pain is unbearable. How am I going to recover? And God literally told me, you're going to set your gaze on the day when you're healed and whole. So you're not there today, but you're going to literally set your gaze, your focus on the day that you are. And even though it was like simple and I couldn't really grasp it, that's one good thing about rock bottom is like you don't really have a lot of other options. So it was just like, okay, I could do that. And of course, it wasn't that simple. But the practical thing that helped me start healing is I began to journal. And this was way before journaling was popular or people were talking about journaling or healing practices. But I just literally took a piece of paper out and I started writing letters to my boyfriend who was murdered. I started expressing my feelings because I didn't really have a place to put that stuff. I tried to go to therapy here and there, but I was really young at the time. And mentally, I couldn't see why this was necessary at the time. If I could go back and do it again, I definitely would get plugged into some type of grief counseling. But at the time, I didn't have that. So I just journaled. And eventually, those letters to my boyfriend turned into letters to God. And I started really expressing myself to God, like, why did you let this happen to me? Or what is your purpose for my life? Like, I started really going in depth in my thoughts. And it's really cool to think about it looking back because all of those poems that I wrote literally turned into a book. So I
Wow.
ended up publishing a book called Trinity Jones, The Queen of the Ghetto. And it's my ode to women, young women who may find themselves in environments that are not so supportive. But I want them to always remember that God is always with them, no matter where they are, what they're facing. And He can take a trial and turn it into a triumph. So I began writing, I turned it into a book, I became a certified growth coach. So I could help women who are also struggling and navigating life. Because listen, life can get tough. And, struggles and setbacks are tough. And we're not always vocal about that. That's why I think this platform is so important, because women need to know it's okay. It's okay. Pain is a part of life and it's a part of the process, but you can overcome through time and through support, right? So that's a little bit about my story and how I overcame grief. And it's still an ongoing journey. But having those stories and also being able to support other women on their journey definitely is a part of my healing process, and a way that God uses our stories for purpose.
Yeah, and it's such a remarkable story because of the age you were when it happened. I mean, you were at the age where we really believe in our happily ever after, and to have found, your high school sweetheart and to have settled with the person and to have that life taken in such a horrible way, to be able to go through that at that age. And I like that you were honest and you said, you really wouldn't have seen the value in therapy and different things because you were young. And that is just a reality. When we are young, we really don't appreciate a lot of the things that can help us. But that is also part of our journey, so that, when you look back, you can see the value. And I like that you spoke about journaling. And what struck me about your story is you started to writing to your deceased boyfriend, and that turned into letters to God. And as a similar story to one of the survivors, when I had done the domestic abuse series, she was so angry that she started writing and journaling horrible things in her case. But those writings eventually also turned to letters to God, and you see the power in that journaling. And now today, to be in the position where you are, where you chose to study and become a coach in order to help other women, and not only that, to also publish a book to help the persons who you can relate to, help them know that, yes, we have trials, but you can get through them. You can triumph through them. I love how you said that. It really is remarkable, all the things you have gone through and how you have used your so-called negative experiences to become something so wonderful and so purposeful. So I want to ask you, what lessons would you have learned from those experiences?
I'm grateful for the experience. I'm sad and I hate that they happened, but I'm grateful for how they shaped my character, my outlook on life, and my relationship with God. If I didn't go through the things that I went through, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. And it just is, it
It's
sucks that it's bittersweet that it has to be through loss and negativity. But the truth is, that's just a part of life. Like, life is not just always, birds chirping. But the valleys, I guess you could say, are what helps you appreciate the mountaintop. It makes you compassionate. It makes you think about other people. It makes you want to support in community. It helps you to want to celebrate others, because you really understand the cost of getting up and pursuing, right? And I think if you didn't go through that, it wouldn't be the same.
Yeah. So I know it is a very difficult question because, when you lose someone, of course, we never want to lose any person that we love, but in losing the ones that you love, there is some learning, there is some story. And even if it's grief, like when I lost persons, thankfully, nothing as horrible as you have experienced, but I mean, people live and people die. So the persons I have lost close to me, I have come to understand that even though I grieved and it was very difficult, it was really just an expression of all the love that I held for them just coming up at that point in time. And yes, it was painful because it was a lot of love, so it would be painful, but every experience that we have is helping us or teaching us on our life journey. And even though it is difficult, there's also something to learn from it. And in your case, you would have really transformed after that experience.
Yeah.
I also want to ask you one more thing. Is there anything you would tell your younger self, or do you have a message for women who may be going through a similar situation to what you did?
I love that question. To my younger self, I would just smile at her so big, and I would just tell her I'm so proud of her, and just don't give up. Like, don't give up. Believe in yourself and protect. Like, just hold on, because God has something so special in you. So don't ever give up. And for women going through a similar situation, I would say get into community. Like, I know community sometimes is like, it's uncomfortable because I don't know these people, but there's so much power in community, and it's okay to need help. It's okay to need support. It's okay to cry or, have somebody cover you. Don't run away from that. That's what I would say. Like, I think my healing journey could have been so much sweeter, and not such a struggle if I would have let myself surrender to community and other people loving on me. We need that. Women, we need that. We need it.
Yeah, and the thing is, when you start talking to other persons, you realize somebody is going through something similar. It may not be the exact same situation, but you are going to find somebody to affirm what you're feeling and to identify with. And that is very powerful instead of feeling alone. And I can identify with feeling alone being an introvert. So this is also therapy for me as well, and learning for me as well. But I love that your message is to find your community, and now we say, like, find your tribe, find the people who relate to you and like to do the things that you do, and they will be that trampoline for your growth. So, Tiffanya, I want to thank you so much for coming on this series, for taking the time to do so. And if you guys would like to reach out to Tiffanya, I'm going to have all of her information in the description box below. She is a growth and accountability coach. So if you are looking for that service, please feel free to contact her and follow her social media. Thank you everyone for watching, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye.
Bye.